Hello everybody, welcome on in. We're all in the same boat. We're in a Kitchen Mania kitchen. Pretty cool, right? I'm loving mine. How you loving yours? Speaking of Kitchen Mania kitchens, we've got the man himself here, Greg. Come and say hello, Greg, before I get in and tell everybody what we're going to do tonight.
Good evening everyone, how are you? Hope it's a bit of an exciting and different thing that we're doing tonight, but hope everyone's keen to get into it and learn some skills from this guy.
So do you know what the word Puttanesca comes from?
I've heard some rumours, but I don't want to...
Is it a family show?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe mine might have to be a little bit careful. Hey team, we've got the questions there, so feel free to ask any questions. I've seen we've got one question anymore. Hi Simon, quick question. Have a celiac diner in... Is the herb salt gluten-free? The herb salt is gluten-friendly. It's made in an environment that has gluten. So if you're really concerned about it, then you should definitely use normal salt. The salt that you have, that's going to keep your gluten or celiac happy, because that's important that we do that tonight, isn't it, Greg?
100%.
Well, I'm loving my Kitchen Mania kitchen. It is just fantastic. I couldn't be happier.
That's pretty cool.
Everybody that comes in here, because this is a deli shop and it's complete Kitchen Mania everywhere you look in this place, and everybody's like, who did the kitchen, or you know, what's the bench top, or can we look in your drawers and all that sort of thing. So you guys have done an awesome job. You've been incredible to deal with. Give these guys a thumbs up if you're happy, because I'm sure you're loving your Kitchen Mania kitchen.
No, that's great. It's cool to be part of something a little bit different, and to hear how popular it's been, and seeing kids coming in and doing cooking shows and things like that. Unbelievable. So
yeah,
we're pretty excited about it too. So, yeah.
A whole week of kids in here learning how to make pizzas. Maybe we should make a pizza tonight.
See how we go.
See how we go, right? We'll see how we go.
Before we get underway, I just wanted to say to everyone who's logged in, firstly, thank you for logging in, but thank you guys so much for putting your trust in us as a company to deliver your kitchen. As you all kind of know, it's a massive process, right? And there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of emotion, a lot of fun, but I just wanted to thank you all for putting your trust in us and letting us deliver your dream kitchen for you. So thank you very much, and hope everyone enjoys tonight. And
yeah, we'll have fun.
Take them away.
All right, let's do it, team. I'm going to explain to you the things that you might need. You might get a little bit of lagging going on. We're on fibre here, so might be your end. Don't know. Might be as the waves are creeping your way with the voice in the picture. It takes a moment or two, but you'll catch up, right? I'll go slow. So what you're going to need to do, the very first thing to make this incredible pasta puttanesca, it's just the way to people's heart is through their stomach, isn't it, right? So with this dish tonight, I guarantee you're going to be the ultimate heartbreaker. This dish it's spicy, it's saucy, it's got a history that's as flavorful as the dish itself. In fact, the word puttanesca comes from puttana, which means lady of the night, and the rumour says it that, well, this dish smells so good it just lures people in. So let's see if we can make it as good as that tonight. We're going to need 2 pots. One that is a reasonable size, and it can be a big pan, it can be a big pot, doesn't matter. Sort of the wider it is, the better. And then we're going to need a pot for our pasta water. And that's something we could probably get on right now. The tools that you're going to need, so I'll just go through the tools. You're going to need a pair of tongs. You're going to need some cloth, some tea towels to be able to pick up your hot pasta pot, so that we can drain the water off. So you'll need some kind of sieve and a bowl, because we want to use some of the pasta water later that's going to go into the sauce. Here we go. So you're going to need those 2 things. A wooden spoon for sure, a ladle, and that's about it. And a chopping board and a knife, and that's where we're going to head after we get the water on. So if we can get 2.5 litres of water into our pot, and let's get that up because this dish doesn't take long. You've got this incredible pasta to cook, and it's made from semolina. That's made from Durham wheat. It's just a slightly coarser flour. It is the Rolls Royce of pasta, and it takes 11 to 12 minutes to cook. We're only going to cook ours for 11 minutes. So I'm going to get 2.5 litres of water into my pasta pot, and I'm going to put the heat up onto high so I can just get it boiling. So again, another litre, that's 1 litre going in there. This is such an easy dish, and it's spicy, but you'll see I've given you plenty of the chili flakes. Traditionally this dish is done with chili flakes, so there's plenty that you've got. So if you like it really spicy, you can add some more when I put it in. If you're not so keen on the spicy, then you can cut back just a little bit, or as much as you like really. But who doesn't like anchovies out there? Put your hand up. Oh, I can see a lot of people. No, not too many people. Anchovies. The anchovies are not going to make this dish taste fishy. Please do not leave it out. I mean, in Italy, when they cook a lamb dish or a lamb casserole, they'll always put anchovy in it. You'll never taste it. I did a cooking class here last night teaching people how to make risottos, and we did a anchovy lemon butter to go under one of the risottos. And I said to the 30 people here, hands up who doesn't like anchovy, and a bunch of hands went up. So I said, right, well, I'm putting extra in for you guys, but I didn't really. But when I actually served the dish, I asked all the people who didn't like anchovies, A, could they taste anchovy? And they all said no. B, did they love the dish? And all the thumbs went up. So don't leave the anchovies out, or I'm going to climb down that TV screen of yours and I'm going to tell you off. You've got to have the anchovies, and you'll see what I do with them shortly. So the water is on, and I'm going to put, for every 100 grams of pasta, you want to have approximately 1 litre of water and about 3/4 of a tablespoon of salt, because in the pasta that you're going to be cooking tonight, as I said, it's the Rolls Royce of pasta. There are only 2 ingredients in there, and that's semolina and water. So there's no salt in the pasta, so we want salty water. And often you'll hear, as salty as the Mediterranean is how salty your water should be. What I've told you here, for every 100 grams, 1 litre of water, it's going to get the right starchiness from the water, because we're going to use some of the water in our pasta. All right, so my water is on, and I'm doing half the mix. So the recipe card that you have is for serving 4 healthy portions. That's 250 grams of pasta. That's a lot of pasta. Now, you can cook the whole lot, but you'll just need to double everything, okay? Now I'm using the herb salt, and I want you to put that in there, and you can put, close on just under 2 tablespoons of the herb salt, or 1 3/4, somewhere around there. This herb salt we sell to restaurants. They absolutely love it. And when you put it into the water, it's going to make your water go green with all those delicious herbs that are in here. And you're going to have plenty of the herb salt left over, so next time you're barbecuing or you're cooking pasta and water, try using the herb salt, because it's really, really good. So that's going in there now, and you'll see that the water will go green from those delicious herbs that are in there. Right, let's go over to our chopping board and have a look at our ingredients. So the extra things you needed to get was the garlic, 3 cloves of garlic, and a bunch of Italian parsley. Hopefully you've got those. If you've got some marjoram, that would be good as well, or if it's not flat leaf parsley, curly parsley will be quite okay. And if you haven't got any parsley, don't worry about it. We're going to make this with some love, so that's the key. That's all we need, is some love and some patience. Garlic down there, if you haven't taken the cloves off, and put your knife on the side and give it a healthy tap. And you see the skin is just coming off the garlic really, really easily. So there we go. I've got 3 of those to do. Another one there. Get that off. And we'll just get rid of the garlic. Garlic is so good for our health. And as soon as you start cutting garlic, that's when you start to smell the garlic aroma. And that's the allicin coming out of the garlic. And we really should be including a lot more garlic in our diet. Garlic, ginger, and turmeric are the 3 top things that fight cancer. So let's get them in there. Now, I love anchovies. Daryl, you're my friend. Your internet is great now, Simon. That's all good to hear. All right. Oops, blurry again and voice breaking up. Oh, you don't want to listen to me anyway. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Right, so we've got the garlic done, and I've given it a bit of a squash, and you can smell the garlic coming out. You want to chop garlic up. There we go. We'll chop it up. Just as fine as you like. Doesn't matter if it's chunky. Doesn't matter. You could grate it. Whatever's easy for you. There you are. The garlic is ready to go. Whilst I'm on that sort of thing, I'm going to grab my Italian parsley, and I'm going to bunch it up in my hand into the tightest ball that I can, and I'm going to use my hand a little like a claw, and I'm going to start to roll the knife, and I'm just rolling the knife like that. I'm not putting my finger up on top of the knife here like this, putting it on the side, because that makes it way better to control the chopping process. And we're just roughly chopping the parsley up now. I'm going to take that stalk out because we don't like that, and give it a quick chop. One hand's pushing down on the other, the tip of the knife, and I'm just moving it around, rocking it up and down. Give it one little more chop, get those outer leaves that I missed, and that is all prepared for later. So you should have your water on, you should have your salt in to your water. The parsley is ready. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the capers. Now here's my water come up to the boil. I can see it's green. I'm happy about that. I don't need it yet, so now I don't need it to reduce. I've got an induction cooktop here, so it was pretty fast. I'm guessing a lot of you do as well. So I'm going to turn the heat down now. So it's just ticking over, and I'll bring it back up to a rapid boil. Angry, we want the water to be angry boiling once the pasta goes in there. I've got capers, and you've got a jar of capers, and you've got salted capers. Salted capers are way better than capers in a brine. Capers in a brine take on all the flavour of the brine, whereas when they're salted, the texture is firmer, they're a better caper, and the flavour will be way better, but they're in salt, so we've got to get rid of that salt. So I empty it into a bowl. Now I want you to get plenty of hot water in here. Plenty of hot water. Here we go, filling mine up. And I'm going to leave those to soak until I'm ready. And you can see the salt crystals will probably go to the bottom of your bowl and dissolve. But what I can do is I can actually just do a quick refresh now, grab these capers and pour the water off and hopefully lose some of that salt, but retain all the capers in there. Here we go. And now put some more hot water in. Ideally, we'd let them soak for 15 minutes, but you'll notice in the cooking of this dish, I'm really not going to need to put any salt in there because I'm using the anchovy to sneak a little salt in. I'm using the capers to sneak a little salt in. We've got salt in the water for the pasta, so we're good to go. I've got the garlic ready. I've got my parsley chopped. You've got these incredible New Zealand olives that have a ever so slightly smoked flavour. So we're going to open these guys up and we'll take these out. But first of all, I'm going to drain off the juice because the juice is a good bit in there. And there's oil and juice from the olives. And you've got a selection of olives. Now, you can be lazy and we could just squash these olives and throw them in, But I'm going to go one step further here with mine, and I'm going to tip them out onto the board. And we're going to give them a squash. There we go. Little like we did with the garlic, but not quite as hard. And we'll squash the olive, and it'll make it pretty easy to take the pip out as we just pull, and the pip comes out really easily. So we'll pop the pips to one side, and that's going to take a minute or two. So hopefully you've got a kitchen helper that can do this for you. And we can have a think about this. So this puttanesca sauce actually makes a great pasta sauce as well. The green ones are going to be a little bit harder to get the pip out, so just actually roll your knife over them and leave the pip behind and trim it up so you get left with this little pip, and we've trimmed the green olive off. So good. I lived in Italy for a year, and that's how I sort of learned about all this Italian cuisine. Moved around in different villas. In fact, I sold my restaurant down on the viaduct in Auckland after we won the America's Cup, and I was asked if I'd go and cook on a super yacht up in the Bay of Islands for 5 days, which I did, and I ended up getting on really well with the guy that had rented the super yacht, and he asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm having a moment of I don't know what I'm doing. I've just sold my restaurant, so don't know what I'm doing. He said, well, I'm going to live in Italy for a year. I'm having a tax year out of the UK, which you could do back then, and I'm just hiring villas. Do you want to come and hang out with us for a year and have a year's holiday? Well, it took me all of about 30 seconds to say yes, and before you knew it, I was on my way to Italy, and he had hired villas, and each of them were about for 3 months each time. And in each villa he had a chef. The first one was a mother of 7 children, and so she did all the family style cooking, and I used to just go shopping with her. I couldn't speak any Italian at that stage, and I would just point to the things in the market and go, can we have some of that? Didn't know what it was half the time, some of the things. And she would purchase them, and then we would come back and she would cook these different things, and I would just watch and learn. From and the first villa was in a place called Sovacilli, which is in Tuscany, and then from there we went to Portofino, and we had a villa on the hill looking down over the village and out towards the Mediterranean. And the lady there, who was the chef, had been there, well, she was in her probably 80s, and she was pretty grumpy, but she was probably, what she didn't know about the old style of Italian cooking, wasn't worth knowing. From there, after 3 months there, and I went and worked in gelaterias there to learn about making gelato, and did all, just trying to learn. We went from there to Pantelleria, which is an island between Tunisia and Sicily, and that was sort of African heat, so you lived outside. And the young guy there was from Naples, and that's when I learnt how to make puttanesca pasta. And he was a real character. We'd go shopping in the morning, and the first thing he liked to do was go and have a beer, so we'd go to a cafe early in the morning at about 7 o'clock, we'd have a beer. I thought that was totally reasonable. Have a beer, and then we'd go down to the port, and the fishing boats would be coming in, and we'd get Mediterranean prawns, fresh anchovies. And actually what we used to do with the fresh anchovies is drizzle them with olive oil, a bit of finely chopped garlic and a little bit of finely chopped Italian leaf parsley, and squeeze a little lemon juice over them and let them marinate for a couple of hours. Absolutely delicious. And but he was from Naples, which is where puttanesca pasta originates from. So this is how I learned how to make it. He was a real character, this guy. I remember one day we were driving back from our so-called morning shopping, and we pulled into a car wrecking yard. And in this car wrecking yard I'm like, why are we in this car wrecking yard? He's like, molto pomodoro. Means a lot of tomatoes. And the next thing you know, we're out of this car, we're climbing up this stack of cars, and he's got a knife, and we're cutting the rubber around the windscreen of this car that had a windscreen intact, and we're stealing the windscreen. It's gone. We're off we go with the windscreen. We get back to where we're staying, and all the tomatoes are growing, so we pick a whole bunch of tomatoes, cut them into wedges, and then climb up on top of the roof because it's so hot there. You only went inside really to sleep, and so that they were sort of domed roofs, concrete roofs. We laid all the tomatoes out, got a handful of salt and threw the salt over the tomatoes, then laid the windscreen over the top, and within 3 days we had the best semi-dried tomatoes you'd ever tasted in your life. So that's, you know, canned tomatoes right at this time of year is a good way to go if we're making this sort of a dish. And interestingly enough, when I was taught how to make the pasta dish, he used canned tomatoes. So that was, to me, kind of interesting because there were fresh tomatoes growing everywhere. But the tomatoes, when they're canned, are left on the vine until they're so ripe, it's just ridiculous. They're almost falling apart. And then they are put into wooden crates and they're taken to the place that cans the tomatoes. And then they're either chopped up or put in whole, and then the cans go into a great big steamer, and that's how the tomatoes are cooked. And that's the key. That is the key. That's why they're so sweet out of a can. So that's why you've got those lovely canned tomatoes today. I'm going to squash a bunch of my olives here just to try and speed this up. I could have had all this done, but I didn't want to leave everybody behind, so I thought if I do it at the same time as you guys are. How are we going for questions there? That's the magic. Thanks for fixing it. Oh, somebody's done something. Okay. Oh, what else can I tell you? We've had a big week doing risottos in here, which has been a lot of fun. So if you guys are clearly in Auckland, you have to come down, and you just mention the word Kitchen Mania. You've got a Kitchen Mania kitchen, and you'll be sitting up at the kitchen counter getting a free tasting of all the beautiful ingredients we have in here. You know, when I lived in Italy, I came back to New Zealand, and you couldn't buy buffalo mozzarella, and you couldn't buy good Parmigiano Reggiano in New Zealand. So having lived there, and I was opening a restaurant called Euro on Princess Wharf, I wanted to have all these things. So I reached out to the people I'd met in Italy to start importing my own cheese and my own buffalo mozzarella, and I soon realised you couldn't bring one wheel of Parmesan into New Zealand. You had to bring a whole wheel, you know, a bunch of wheels. You couldn't just bring one, you had to bring a bunch. So otherwise it wasn't economical. So before you knew it, I was ringing all my mates going, you want some cheese? And all these years later, you know, I've been supplying restaurants for a long time now, cheese and all these different things. And now buffalo mozzarella is made in New Zealand, and it's fantastic. So I don't need to import it anymore. In fact, Clevedon buffalo mozzarella is probably one of the best. They used to buy my mozzarella that I was importing to see if they could copy it. So it's been a great thing, I think. And back in those days, the only Parmesan that was available in New Zealand was the stuff that didn't make the grade to be the best, you know, to get the Parmigiano Reggiano stamp on the cheese. It all came in and it had little X lines all around the rind, and that's what we were being sold as the authentic Parmesan in New Zealand. So now we can get good Parmesan everywhere, but it's doing this. You know, I love restaurants, but you know, I've got a 9-year-old now, so I want to be a dad. I get one chance to be a dad, so this is just like the best place for me, because I get to put a smile on people's faces when they come in and they try all these different things. You know, you give them a drop of a balsamic that's like a fine wine that's been aged in barrels for 6 years, and they go, oh my God, I could put that on my strawberries, and the husband's piping up and saying you can pour it all over me. It's that good. You know, you name it, we've got all these different things. Probably the best Central Otago Black Doris plum jam and Central Otago apricot jam, and you've got to come and try it. That's the invitation. Just say the word Kitchen Mania when you walk in and you'll be treated like the rock stars that you are. Now, okay, so our capers have been soaking in the hot water. Our garlic is chopped, and I've got all the pieces of olive. I've got rid of the pips. A couple of the small ones, the really small ones, I've just left them whole because they look like too hard. Now I'm going to roughly chop these up, and I want to keep them reasonably rough. Just doesn't even matter really the size, but it's nice if they've got a little bit smaller than the halves that I've taken them off. The olives are what's going to bring that saltiness to this dish, like the anchovies and the salt in the water. So that's rough enough. You can leave some whole, some in pieces. There we go. I've got a pile of beautiful, the odd ones when you chop them up with those pips can be a little annoying, but there you go. I think that's okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. Roughly chopped olives. So now we can start getting things into our pan. So over here, the water is ready to go. It's a little early, because once I get all the tomato in, that's when I will get my pasta cooking. So get the temperature up on your pan that you're going to cook get the temperature up on the pan you're going to cook your pasta dish in. So I've got it on a medium to high heat. I'm going to get 1/4 cup of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. You've got this beautiful extra virgin olive oil. You'll have plenty left over. The average Kiwi consumes 200 of extra virgin olive oil a year. Just interestingly for you, in the Mediterranean, where they have 30% less cancer, half the amount of heart disease, 1/9 the amount of diabetes, they are consuming 25 litres per capita per person. And in New Zealand, we're consuming 200 mils. So it's a big difference, isn't it? Now, I've got the oil in there, and I can put the garlic in straight away. And I don't want to brown the garlic, I just want it to start sizzling away. This is where our wooden spoon can come in. So I'm just looking for that to start to sizzle, and it'll be in there for about 1 minute once it starts sizzling. Now, if you're doing the full recipe, you can use the whole packet of your pasta, or you could do as I'm doing, where I'm just doing 4 portions, I will use half. So I'm just taking the lid off, so that's ready. I'm returning the olives to the juice now, getting those back in there so they're off my chopping board. Real olives, capers, so good, this pasta dish. Here we go. This is just starting to sizzle in here now, and I can really start to smell that garlic coming out there. Good to go. Any questions? Internet a little bit lumpy. Oh, that's no good. Sorry about that, David and Susan. I'll do the lumpy thing, catch up. Here we go. Sizzling away here, this garlic. Oh, that's good. Sizzle, sizzle. Just control your heat so we don't end up with brown garlic. That's not what we want. We just want to get it sizzling for about 1 minute. And this dish comes together so easily. It's quick and easy to make. And, you know, if you've got these ingredients in your cupboard, all of these things, you know, a little bit of parsley, hopefully growing in your garden, and some garlic around, all the other things are shelf stable and pretty easy. I'm going to whip the lid off my tomato can so it's ready. Now, it's about now I can put the anchovies in. These guys have been in here for about a minute. So a couple of anchovies, and don't miss this bit out, guys, just 2 anchovies. You've got extra in there, and it won't take long, and you'll see that the anchovies will just start melting into the oil with the garlic. That's good. There we go, just break it up and it all falls apart. You're not going to taste anchovy when you eat this, I promise you. There we go. Now we want to stop that garlic cooking and going brown, so I get the olives in. There we go. All the juice with the olives as well. And it will start to splatter a wee bit with the juice and the oil from the olives and the oil that was in the pan, but that will stop pretty quickly. Now I'm going to strain off my capers, get rid of that water, and if there's any salt in there, just try and separate the salt. And now we're going to grab the capers and we'll squeeze out any extra. I'm not going to need all of them because I'm only doing half. So I'm going to take half the capers and I'm going to roughly chop them up. Just, even if they're just in half, will be good. There we go. In it goes. Okay. Now, shall we get the tomatoes in? And now we can save the can. Save the can for the moment. Don't get rid of the can. Now we're going to just have this sauce ticking over for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to get the heat up on our I keep hitting the timer, and I put a little sticker over the timer earlier saying don't touch. And then I thought, oh no, you'll see that. That'll look really bad with me having a sticker over the timer. So we took it off, and what have I been doing? Just hitting the timer constantly. Okay, I've got the heat right up, and you're going to have plenty of that beautiful extra virgin olive oil. And if you live in Auckland, come into Gault's Deli. We're at Hannigan Drive in St John's. And these are refill bottles, so it's $5 something to come and refill this with the extra virgin olive oil. Have a taste of it. It's on its own, it's delicious. There we go. My sauce is smelling amazing already. My water's about to come up to a boil, so I can get half of my pasta ready to go. You can weigh it out if you like, but there's 500 grams in there, but I'm just going to guess it. So as soon as it comes up to the boil, you do not need olive oil in your pasta water. Don't worry about that. It's not needed. It's a waste of your olive oil. Just wait for this to come up to the boil. And now we are going to have a little time to have a glass of wine. We've got Prosecco here. What have you got? I'll get it, it's in the fridge. As soon as this goes in, I'll grab a bottle of Prosecco out. Can Greg join the conversation? Greg's patiently waiting for me to feed him dinner. If nothing else, he gets dinner out of tonight. Come on, come and have a try. So, what do you reckon of the smell of that?
Yeah, it's smelling good from about 5 metres away, so that smells pretty good there.
So you and your dad started Kitchen Mania.
Dad started Kitchen Mania.
Yeah.
And I was living over in London at the time, and kind of a year after he'd started it, he called and said, what's going on? Like, I need some help. Can you come back? And so I went over there to play cricket and enjoyed that, and found my lovely wife over there, and so brought her back. I always say I went over to London with a cricket bag and came back with
with a wife?
With lots more bags, but it was really good. So yeah, Dad started it 14 years ago, and I joined 12, and we've now got 2 other siblings, and Mum helps out as well. So it's a proper family affair. But yeah, we got a Kitchen Mania team now, so it's really good fun.
Well, it's like a well-oiled machine. And when I've been out the back there, would all of these guys who bought a kitchen have been out there and seen with that machinery?
Some have. So last year we ran a home show by ourselves because we were kind of sick of waiting for the Auckland home show to come back, and we did some nice live woodworking shows out the back, and gave people a chance to come along and have a look at kind of how kitchens are made. And that was a real success. So I think at the end of August this year, if anyone's keen as well, and if you haven't seen out the back already, come and see how kitchens are made, and maybe Simon will be there doing some extra cooking for us as well in the showroom. But
yeah, we did some cooking classes last time.
Really
it was good fun. Yeah,
really good fun.
But it's so nice to, if somebody's thinking of renovating their kitchen or building a kitchen, to see the machinery that you have out the back. It's Italian, right?
Yeah, it's Italian, but it's one of the things that kind of, hopefully for people, gives them some trust that kind of we're designing it and we're making it and we're delivering it, and we're kind of responsible for the whole thing. From our side, it means that we know that everything that we make, everything that we design is going into our customers' homes. So that's one of our real kind of points of difference in the market. But it's hopefully it gives everyone some surety as well that we're doing it for them.
I really enjoyed the design process where you could sort of hand it over and you say, this is my vision, this is what I want, and then the first draft comes back and you're like, oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? You'd think as a chef I'd have a rough idea of what I want, but I do. But it's the little things of ergonomically is everything there,
it really is. And kind of kitchens from 10, 20, 30 years ago had very different dynamics, and the family was very differently dynamic, and so kind of kitchens used to be a room that had a door on it and one person was cooking in there and that was it. But now they kind of opened up and they're much more involved in the lounges, and it's become the kind of centre of the home.
Yeah, it is, right?
In a little box somewhere that someone's working in. So yeah, everything's changed, and so that changes the dynamics of the design as well. So we're pretty lucky to have an awesome team that understands that and can help people.
The thing that people might look at the sauce, so I've got mine, so it's just ticking over. It's on a medium heat, barely boiling, just so all those flavours can sort of mould together. But you'll visually see the oil, and it's taken on the colour of the tomato there. So you think, oh, this is going to be a little bit oily, but that's why we're hanging on to the pasta water, because once we get the pasta water in there, that's going to emulsify it, and we're going to finish cooking the pasta in there. So for the last minute, the pasta is actually going to cook in the sauce before we plate it up. Now, most pastas, it always has cheese. This is one of the few Italian pastas where it just does not need to have Parmesan cheese put into it, and the smell is so good. Now we need to put the chilli in, don't we? And I probably should have put this in a wee bit earlier. Now you've got a big thing of chili flakes. So are you a chili?
I do like chili.
You like spicy, all right. So I'm going to put.
Don't know if the kids do, but.
Well, there we are. I'll probably put about a quarter of that in, I guess. But it's up to you. You can always put none in if you like, and just have it on the table and put it over the top. It's a little bit like pepper, isn't it? We have a pepper grinder on the table. Do you know why that pepper grinders are on a table traditionally as opposed to putting it in the meal? Because when you grind pepper in, it goes bitter with cooking. That's why traditionally you have a pepper grinder on the table and add it on afterwards. But with chili flakes, we want to cook them in there, don't we? It would have even probably been better if I'd put it in the oil at the start. So we'll give that a little bit of a stir up there. And I see somebody asked where Gault's Deli is. We're very close to Kitchen Mania. We're in St John, so just the other side from Mount Wellington and 3 Hannigan Drive. And we've got heaps of free parking. It's a good place to park. And you can call into Greg and say hi on the way.
It's really worth it, guys. Like, it's been a bit of fun getting everything organised and done and underway here. But to walk in tonight and have a look at it, it's simply stunning. So come down and have a look. And Simon literally is handing out samples of food, and you get to taste it before you buy. So yeah, definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, it's been really fun. You know, people have come in and said, I'm cooking this on Saturday night, what should I be getting with it? So then we brainstorm their dinner party, and on some occasions I've lent them a board to go away with, or somebody's come in and we're doing pizzas. I need toppings for pizzas, but we actually make a pizza. Should we make
Very
a pizza,
cool.
Greg?
You're the boss.
Come on, make the kids, because I tell you what, this sauce on a pizza will be incredible. So we make pizza doughs here that you keep in the freezer, and it just so happens that I've got one ready. Don't run away, you can make it. Should we put the boss on the spot? Should we make him make a pizza? What do you reckon? What do you reckon, kids? Over there, do we make Dad make a pizza, or do I make it? Let me teach you how to make a pizza. You're going to tell me when I'm 3 minutes away. So one of the pizza doughs comes in a frozen pack like that. You can keep it in the fridge for up to 21 days. And here's what 2 of them look like when I take them out. They rise up. They've just been sitting in a bowl in this tray out for the day. We'll grab some of that flour down there. And it's so easy to make a pizza. But we're going to make a Puttanesca pizza because we've got the sauce, and I'm going to steal a little bit. So this is sort of soft and sticky. We're going to get some flour on here. So there we go. Now what we're going to do, Greg, is we're going to just push it out like this.
Yep.
Like that. You're doing the second one, right? Yep. And make sure there's plenty of flour underneath it. Pushing it out like that. Hopefully you can see there. And we want to keep a rim around here because we're making, if it's a Puttanesca pasta, it must be in the Neapolitan style, right? Which is where the pasta dish is from. And we're just round here like this. Now all we do is stretch it out. Don't even need a rolling pin, and we're done. That's it. It's ready to go into a super hot oven.
That part looks a bit harder than you've made it.
No, it's really easy. It's really easy, and there you go. All we've got to do now is put the sauce on. So we'll sneak a little bit of our sauce in a minute. Why don't we sneak just a little bit now? I'll grab a spoon out of here. And we'll just put a little bit around here. Hot one. I'm not even going to put any cheese on because I've got some Cleveland buffalo mozzarella, and I'm going to put that on after it's been cooked for halfway. So it doesn't look like much at the moment, but you wait and see in a minute. I've got some of this beautiful oil, so I'll drizzle just a little bit of this around the outside, and that's magically going to disappear into the oven and come back all cooked for us. Okay, how am I time-wise, Jay? 3 minutes to go, and this pasta is going to be al dente. That will be 10 minutes. So, as I said, Durham wheat, this is a fantastic pasta. It has been extruded through a bronze die, and that is what is considered the best, because you get lots of little ridges on the pasta, and that makes the sauce want to stick to it a lot better.
Okay.
2 ingredients. It's a real art for these guys that make all this dried pasta. And as I said, there's only 2 ingredients in there, which is the durum wheat that's turned into semolina and water. That's it. Nothing else.
So how
and
does
you
that
pay a fortune for it.
How does that differ from going to one of the supermarkets and getting one of the $1 packets off the shelf? Or
well,
$5
to start
packets?
off with, these people, they grow the wheat and they have the wheat. It's their farm. It's the whole process. It's dried for 44 hours, which helps with the protein and makes it a stronger pasta when you cook it.
Yeah, nice.
It's the attention to detail, and the bronze dye means that it has to be extruded slower, so there's more time to make it. This isn't a rush thing. It's a pasta made with love, as opposed to the real commercial ones that are available. And you can see this oil is really starting to come out, but you wait and see how it emulsifies very shortly. Now we're going to get I've got some of this Clevedon buffalo mozzarella, but it's the little cherry ones, which is super nice. So I'm going to get a fork in and I'm going to grab me. So it happens that everything is just perfectly where I want it in this kitchen. So I've got these just little cherry balls. I put these in my daughter's school lunch, so you can eat them like that. But when you put a cherry mozzarella on a pizza, you want to cook it so it's almost 3/4 cooked, and then that's when we put the mozzarella on so it can just melt.
I'd say your daughter would have the best lunches at school, would she?
I think she does all right.
Envy of the kids at school.
Yeah, hopefully. So that's been in for 10 minutes, okay? So now I'm going to, this is where it can get a little bit, have to be a little bit careful here because this is very hot, but we'll pour this out into the sieve and the pasta there. And see, it's not stuck together, has it? You don't need to have the olive oil into our pasta at all. It is absolutely not necessary. Now, the pasta goes in, and we'll finish cooking it with half a can, that's why we kept the can, of the pasta water, which is also going to have a little starch in there. So half a can goes in, and it's also a great way to rinse out the leftover tomato in there. There we go. Now turn this heat up now, so now it's suddenly gone saucy, and we just start moving it around so we get everything mixed in there. And if you've got somebody at home that's looking after your plates, you can get them organised. So now we can put that water, you could use that water again if you really wanted to save it. I can't imagine anybody's going to, but don't you just love induction cooktop when you spill everything and just make it, clean it up so easily. There we go. Except when you get it wet. I'll get this heat up, and all that remains now is for the parsley to go in, and we can serve it up. And see, now the sauce doesn't look oily, does it? It's just all come together. So it's going to, I've got the heat up quite high now. I want to really bubbling to finish that cooking, that last minute of the spaghetti in there, and then I can plate it up. Is that about a minute? I think it is. Let's get the Italian parsley that's chopped up through it. Now you could take this to the table family style, pop it in the middle and serve it up. But I will serve this one up right here. Is that about where you'd like it? The plate. Now you could use your tongs, whatever you like. I've got one of these little numbers here, which is kind of handy for now I'll take a little spoon so I make sure I get plenty of the sauce over the top. It's as simple as that. And then lastly, let's just drizzle a little olive oil around there. And there you have it. Puttanesca pasta. I hope you guys were able to follow along. Where is your shop? Gault, 3 Hannigan Drive, St John's. I said that, I answered that
looks
question.
Like there's a link there as well now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know which camera to look at. What do you reckon? That one? Does that look good? It's steaming hot, but let's get the boss to try it and see what he thinks. It'll be a little bit hot. Come on in, Greg. Have a taste and see what you think.
Awesome. Looks amazing. Blow it, yeah. Yep. Pretty good. That's pretty good, mate. Well done.
Right?
Yeah. Really nice.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed tonight. Thanks to Kitchen Mania from me, and I'm sure you guys will like it too. Let's see what that pizza looked like as it just comes out of the oven. Look at that.
Awesome.
There's your Puttanesca pasta salad. You see how the buffalo mozzarella was just melted over the top there. So that was pretty easy. You couldn't have ordered a pizza from...
Wouldn't have turned up that quick.
Who would deliver one that fast, right? So that was pretty good. Anyway, buon appetito, everybody. I look forward to seeing you at Gault's Deli. You'll be VIPs. Just say the word Kitchen Mania.
Yeah, and thanks everyone. Hope you're all enjoying your pasta dish together. Hope you're enjoying your new kitchens. Hope it made a beautiful dish for you tonight, and thousands of more dishes for you and your family. Thanks heaps.
Awesome.
Cheers.
See you, team. Take care.